Hey, what's up guys? It's Toxic here, and today I just wanted to talk, and that's gonna be the name of the series, Toxic Talks. It has a nice ring, it's short, it's to the point. Anyway, so really all I wanted to do in this series is talk about stuff. Now, most of the time these are gonna pertain to Roblox, but sometimes I might talk about other stuff, you know, but I really doubt I'll ever, talk about other stuff. This is gonna be mainly just where I talk about, more like I put gameplay in the background and I just talk about Roblox. Woo, yeah. Now this could relate to drama, it could relate to, trading, it could relate to games, it could really go for anything, which is why I think this is such a good idea because I can give my own opinion without making it in like a video where I'm trying to be serious about like, updates or whatever for a game, let's just say that. But yeah. Anyway, so for example, this video is going to be mainly where I talk about limiteds and how I feel about how limiteds are priced and all of that. So this wouldn't really fit in with a trading video, and it would just be out of place to start talking about this kind of stuff there. So it'd be better if it had its own video, which it is going to have, which is this. Okay, I guess it makes sense. I don't know why I said okay there, but whatever. Let's get started. So really, the first thing I wanted to mention is I feel like most of the most expensive items on Roblox are the older items of the game. Now, if you go all the way from price high to low on the category or catalog, not category, sorry. Basically this doesn't mean value. So most of this is irrelevant. But you can still see it here, like, limiteds that are rare, but they aren't that expensive are the most highest selling price because they're rare. You get the gist of that. Now, you see stuff like Dominus Emprius, which is the most expensive item on Roblox, and it came out, I believe, in 2010 or 2011. I'm sorry, I'm really bad with dates, but that's when it came out, and it was pretty, took a while to sell out. I believe it took a couple days, and now it's worth 12 million, I believe. That's a lot. Um, Now that kind of ties into inflation. 13,000 back then, which is the original starting price, 13,337. Now that was kind of like counting in inflation, which honestly I don't have a solid number for. I'm gonna take a guess, and that's kind of like 50 or 75,000 Robux now. So to most people, it's a lot. And also you have to remember back then, not that many people had that much. So maybe it's more like, 100,000, 200,000. It's more secluded than, open. Basically now everybody has a ton of Robux. One, because there's so much in the economy as there is. Like, I don't know the exact number, but I'm 95% sure there's at least a billion Robux in circulation right now. And that means like it's on someone's account that does not include Roblox. And I'm sure Roblox, the account, has over a billion Robux easily. Now here's why I think that Roblox has a billion Robux easily. Now look at every single item that has ever sold on the market. Roblox has taken a percentage fee over that. Now I believe it was in 2014 or 2013, they raised the fee from 15% to 30%. So now you're only making 70% of what you're basically selling, instead of making the 85 before this. And this is kind of how you counteract an inflating economy when you think about it. If the value of money is becoming less and less and everybody has a lot more, when you're selling your stuff back to the market, or not to the market, to the people basically, you're selling your stuff, you're making less back, which means in turn more is being taken out of the circulation of Robux. Now the difference between real life and how Roblox works with the economy is basically you could buy Robux and boom, like that you got yourself some currency. In real life, you actually have to work for that. You can't just buy it with some other currency. Well, I'm sure you can nowadays anyway. But really, it's not as common to just like go, hey, I'm gonna go get some money by selling my what's that called? Like Roblox limiteds. You don't really hear that. You hear more like, hey, especially from kids, you hear more like, hey, I'm gonna go make money off of, no, I'm gonna go buy some Robux with my money. That's what you really hear. And how this all ties into the economy is a big thing. Now, Now, when you look at the Empress, basically, since it started off so high, basically, it had a chance of, dropping or going up, as does every limited. But since it had 26 in stock, and as time has gone on, less have existed, which makes it rarer and rarer. And since it's more rare, basically the value goes up because there's people who want it, but it's so rare they have to spend more and more to get it. And this also ties in with the economy, or not the economy, the inflation stuff I was talking about, in a sense where the value of money is becoming less and less. So basically, how do I explain this? You start off with like, hey, I got 10,000 Robux, cool. But you still have 10,000 Robux in the future. But if you bought something and then it goes up because the value of Robux has gone up or gone down, basically you still have your 10,000 Robux when you think about it, because when you sell it back, you're going to make more than 10,000 Robux, but you really only spent your 10,000 Robux. So in a way, it's kind of like profit, but it's also kind of like the value is going down. Now, honestly, I think that Roblox is doing a decent job counteracting this inflation. When you think about DevX, because a lot of the money goes to developers nowadays, like, kids buying Robux to buy game passes, doing really anything. And all the money made off of game passes, not all of it, but, the 70% goes to the developers. And the developers can cash out that Robux for dollars from Roblox. And, now you have these developers on Roblox making millions. I believe someone got a Tesla just from Roblox money. I don't know, it's getting insane. Anyway, back to limiteds. I think that the rare items or the older items are becoming more expensive, and here's something that kind of proves this. Now, the most expensive items on Roblox right now are the Dominus Empress, Frigidus, Infernus, Domino Crown. Well, I think Domino Crown isn't that high anymore. And a couple other stuff that are very, very old. So I'm just going to go to a value list I have. It's called rbx.rocks. We all have access to this. So if we look at the page called All Limiteds, I believe it's /limiteds. Yeah, it is. Basically, every item that's in the top 10, basically every item in the top 10, excluding Lady of the Federation, are items that are decently old. Empress is from 2010, 2011. Frigidus is like 2012, I believe, maybe. Same thing with Infernus. Astra is recent, I believe it's like 2015, 2014. But again, due to the rarity and the high starting price, it basically started off with a good note. Plus, it's a Dominus, and series of expensive items tend to do better than series with non-expensive items. This is in turn due to the name. Like, when you think, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy sneakers, and then you think, okay, what are the most high-end sneakers that I like? You'll think stuff like Nike, stuff like Jordan, all of that stuff. And you'll be like, hey, I like Nikes and Jordans, so I'm gonna go get some Nikes and Jordans. And basically, in a way, you're paying for the name over paying for what it is. So stuff that are in a series that's successful tend to also be successful in a way. So stuff like the Sparkle Time series, the Dominus series, they tend to do so much better than any other limited that would start off at the same price and all of that. Like, here's a good example. If you look at the item called Void Wrath, it is basically a retexture, essentially, and it shares a mesh besides the stars and the moon. Basically, it shares a mesh with Azure Wrath and a couple of other items that are in that sort of series. Now, if I can find it. Okay, Azure Wrath, Lord of the Frost. Now, this item has 21,000 wrap. And, again, it's rare. So, Void Wrath has 35 sold. It started off at 100,000 Robux. And, it's basically, it has no demand, and it's worth very, very low amounts of Robux. Mainly due to the fact that it's a retexture of Azure Wrath, when you think about it, because nobody really likes it in the first place because it's so cheap. Which is kind of something else I wanted to talk about in this video since we're talking about limiteds. Think about demand and how that drives up prices a lot. So when you go to collectibles on the catalog and then you go to relevance, Here are the first results. Beast Mode, Sinister Branches, Blizzard Beast Mode, Bubble Trouble, Blue Bubble Trouble actually, Roblox Madness Face, and Green Bandit Top Hat. Now, I believe Super Happy Face is nowhere to be seen on these front pages. So if you search up Super Happy Face and you go look at it, if you look at how the price went up from about September 1st or so all the way up to now, it basically went down to about 4K, and all of a sudden it went all the way up to over 8K wrap, and it's been sitting between 6 to 8K wrap non-stop since. And that's mainly due to the demand, because whenever you have an item with a lot of demand, it's more than likely going to go up over time if it retains its demand, because people want it, they're going to start paying more, and basically if you keep paying more and more, the wrap goes up. The wrap goes up, people sell it for more because they want to basically make the most money possible, all of that stuff. And basically it's kind of like, it rinses and repeats over and over. And you just start making money when you think about it if you you play your cards right. Okay, what am I talking about anymore? You see, this is why I wanted to make it its own series. I go off on so many just tangents, I believe is the word. I just go off on so many. So I feel like this is the perfect place if you want to hear me just spew my mind out. You guys could listen. I just speak whatever's on my mind, and I go off topic a lot. So, yeah. This is more like, hey, I want to see what Toxic's like when he's just speaking his mind. He's not just saying whatever because why not? All of that stuff. Anyway, so when we go look around on the market, go to basically look for the high demand items so we could keep proving this point. The high demand items, especially in a series, end up doing well. If you look at Beast Mode and the Bubble Trouble series, just because they're faces, I want to look at them, especially because they're cheap faces. If you look at the Beast Mode series and you look at the Bubble Trouble series, let me just get the other two Bubble Troubles that I don't have open. Voice cracks everywhere. Let's see. Let's move the Blizzard Beast Mode here. Okay. So, let's talk about the Blizzard Beast Mode versus the Beast Mode. Both of them have the exact same stock. They start at the exact same price. Now, the Beast Mode is older, and because of that, it's slightly rarer. But both of them have the same amount of demand, essentially, because, one, they both look pretty decent, I guess, and because people want them. And when people want something, sometimes they settle for the cheaper variant that looks practically similar to the other one, which is why the Sparkle Time series kind of has that effect. You see stuff like purple and red Sparkle Time, and you're like, hey, they look so cool. Then you see stuff like, let's see, what's cheap? The original Sparkle Time, for example, you see the Sky Blue Sparkle Time, which isn't that cheap anymore. But basically, you look stuff like that, and you're like, oh, hey, oh, and White Sparkle Time, too. Like, that's the cheapest one. It's like 215K, I believe, is what it's worth now. Basically, stuff in a series that are successful will continue to be successful, like my point was basically being made. Now, what I think is going on is White Sparkle Time, basically, people who can't afford the higher end Sparkle Times, but they still want an item of the Sparkle Time series, they'll just end up buying that one. And, since that one only has 300 in stock, for example, basically people are going to be like, oh, hey, now I have a Sparkle Time. Now I look super cool. And then, as the time goes on, people get what they want, and the demand is still there. But basically all the cheap ones have been taken off the market because they were already taken by, the people. Okay, you get the point. Anyway, so basically the people have bought it for cheap. There's no more cheap prices. There's only the expensive ones, and people really want them. So they end up getting the expensive or the more expensive prices, and that's really how an item races. That's really all there is to it, in my opinion. Like, you really can't say, hey, this item sucks, has no demand, but it's going up in value. If an item's going up in value, it means it probably has some demand of some degree, because people are willing to spend more than, what it's worth just to obtain it and, have it. Anyway, so back to beast modes, or not beast modes anymore, Bubble Troubles. The original one doesn't have that much demand when you think about it. It sells like anywhere between 1 and 5 a day. Then you look at stuff like the green Bubble Trouble, it could sell like 9, 10 a day. The blue bubble trouble could sell like 8, 9 in a good day. Purple bubble trouble sold 14 once this month. And sometimes the originals never do as good as its sequels, especially when the sequels have better demand because, people say, hey, I want this one, it looks better. So that's also how prices change. And really, how this all ties into the most expensive and least expensive items is basically the more expensive items are being sold for more because the demand is higher, and basically the prices are also going up because the demand is so high, there's not enough supply to meet the demand, so the prices end up raising to try to, stabilize and all of that stuff. Really, okay, so here's how. Okay, if you've made it this far, I just want to admit I do not know anything about economics. This is more like, my observations. Now, I only have about like 40 seconds of footage left before, I have to end the video because I have no more footage in the background, and I'm not going to leave a black screen. So let me just get into this real quick. I think that Roblox is ruining Roblox. Okay, you know what? We're going to go back to this with part 2. It's coming like next week, maybe this weekend. Whenever this hits like 50 likes, just to see that people like it, I'll end up making a sequel. And good times, good times. Anyway, so that's pretty much it, guys. I have like 25 seconds. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.